Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for threatening to cut my parents off financially to stop my brother from proposing at my wedding. Starting with the fact that my wedding is scheduled for April since my fiancé, 25-year-old female, has long desired a spring wedding. I'll go on to other topics. In addition, the notion is appealing to me. I do, however, have an older brother who lives in another state, 30 male, and on Saturday I was called to my parents' house to talk about the situation. Nevertheless, they would not notify me until I arrived. On the day of my wedding, they sat me and my brother down and told me that my brother intends to propose to his girlfriend on the day of my wedding. I felt outraged and informed them categorically that they were wrong. They, on the other hand, joined together against me. I felt so enraged that I was able to force all three of them into a corner by acting as a single individual. It was made clear to them that if they did this, not only would they be denied entry, but I would also terminate the financial help I've been giving them on a monthly basis since they took a second mortgage to pay for my golden baby brother's college education. With the help of my new employment, which pays a good wage, I have started making monthly payments of $500 to my parents to aid them in paying down their mortgage. In addition, I did not want any ownership interest in their property. It was done entirely with the best of intentions, and I have the power to cut it off at any moment in the future. I turned and walked away from them without saying anything more. However, the next day, my brother came to my home and screamed at me, claiming that I had ruined his big chance since our parents are now siding with me and threatening to evict him if he dares to propose at my wedding. I refused to believe him and walked away. According to him, I was financially blackmailing our parents and that all he needed was a reasonable occasion to propose since he was afraid that his fiancée would leave him soon. As I said, it was his problem and not mine, because my wedding day isn't about him in the least. As for him trying to propose at my wedding, he will be kicked out immediately. That is not a hypothetical option, but a certain conclusion. A bouncer interrupting his girlfriend's engagement isn't something I think she would like. He flung a few choice words at me before crying his way to our only living grandma's house in the neighborhood, the name of our maternal grandma, and then she dialed my phone in an effort to read me on the phone. It should come as no surprise that my brother exaggerated his version of the story he told her to her. Even when I informed her of the facts, she continued to support him. She tried to maintain her stance, but the verbal vengeance I delivered caused her to break down and cry. That infuriated my parents, who are now unhappy with me for going too far with the situation. But I informed them that I had only gotten that far because they were all attempting to convince me to allow my brother to use my wedding as a platform for a proposal, which I refused to do. They ultimately came around to my point of view, but they still consider me disrespectful. And my brother came over to my home again to rant at me, this time calling me a jerk, and I think I'm proud of myself for not giving him the opportunity to do so. At first, I was certain that I was entirely right, but it's possible that I went a little too far with my brother. As a result, I decided to come here and asked for an impartial conclusion. Do you want an Ada for all I've done and said to my brother and others? And at 1, my fiancée is aware of what my brother attempted to do, and she's furious about it. If he follows this any further, she's nearly ready to have him uninvited. I'm also not going to excuse having my granny weep. Normally, I have a pretty calm demeanor. However, due to prior favoritism, I may quickly get irritated with specific individuals, such as my brother, parents, and grandma. My grandma, in particular. She was always on my brother's side and believed his lies no matter what. She's the main reason my parents like my brother as well. She continued trying to persuade me over the phone to let my brother propose during my wedding, and I finally gave up on her. And for those who are asking why I've been giving money to my parents, they were on the point of losing their home about a year ago due to the additional debt they took on to pay for my brother's education 10 years ago. They were too arrogant to seek my assistance, but I didn't want them to lose their house. In the future, I do not desire the home. However, I want my parents to be able to stay in their house. We have a plan in place for me to continue making payments until I reach the age of 30, and I have referred them to a financial counselor to assist them in getting things resolved. But my slacker brother isn't pitching in. He just pays $300 per month in rent and makes no contributions to utilities. Years ago, he also dropped out of the college that my parents had paid for, and they were unable to recover the lost tuition money. As a result, people are finally becoming enraged with him. Edit 2. Yes, my brother did drop out of college. However, he obtained an online college degree a few years later, and just passed to get it. I have no objections to online education. However, given all my parents spent on him, that felt like a poke in the eye. He did, however, get a better career as a result of his online college degree. But he's never truly changed. For months after receiving that degree, he sought nothing but adulation. My brother does not have any unhealthy habits such as gambling, excessive spending, or drug addiction. He's simply a jerk, and he's always been one. Story 2. AITA for not letting my husband's parents live in the house I own. As soon as I graduated from college and my husband, 35 years old, was well established in his job, I, 31 years old, decided to marry him. We both have excellent scores and live in a Southeast Asian country. However, I never had the opportunity to pursue a career in academia and get my PhD from a well-respected European or American university. The decision to pursue an academic career was made by my husband as well. He already had his master's degree and opted to go to the United States for his PhD. He was earning a very modest income and was living much above his financial means during this time. He had some money saved up from his prior employment in a corporate atmosphere, so he could supplement his income with that as well. In my own country, while working a well-paying job, I earned my master's degree and was able to save a significant amount of money. Because we live in a conventional house, I was able to live with his parents and incur no expenses. Following marriage in my country, you are obligated to reside with your spouse and his parents or wherever your husband allows you to dwell. Following the completion of my master's degree, I was given a very lovely PhD post with excellent financing. My freelance work was still in progress at the moment, and I was earning a respectable income. He came to the country with absolutely little means, and at the time, I acquired a home only for the goal of renting it out, with no intention of living in it, and I quickly started making a respectable income from the rental income. I've always wanted to do something nice for my parents, especially since my father was extremely poor when I was growing up but provided me with incredible opportunities nonetheless. So I purchased a better apartment than my parents and encouraged them to rent out their current apartment in order to generate more monthly income for themselves. My husband was completely ignorant of this choice. Due to the fact that I have done nothing for his parents, except from giving his mother a monthly allowance for fun money and paying for the maid who does the cleaning, and since my husband has no funds or assets, his parents are furious with me. My response to his desire to evict my parents was that it was not my fault, and I told him go kick pebbles in the mud. He then requested me to put his name on the title to the house, which I didn't agree to since I didn't want to be a party to it. He told me that this indicated that we were divorcing, and I reminded him that we did not live in the United States at the time. I'll retain ownership of everything, and he'll be responsible for paying the dowry he owes my father. It was suggested to me by his parents that they move into the house I own, which is currently bigger than the one in which we now reside. I objected since doing so would mean losing a major chunk of my monthly income. Despite my sympathies for his predicament, I believe I am right in believing that if I put his name on something, I would be obligated to share it. I am willing to share his monthly wage. But he is unwilling. I am responsible for his and my expenses, but that is all. I am willing to put money aside and buy something for his parents, but it must be in my name and in his honor. Consequently, I apologize to my spouse for not notifying him of the present I made to my parents and for not giving him with any assets.